And with that, should we snap on into this podcast?
I think that we should. What are we talking about here today?
Well, shoot, man, we got orange. This is the theme of chapter number 2, right?
Love it.
In
Love
chapter
it.
number 2, tell them what it's called.
Day ones.
Day ones.
It's called Day Ones. And would they like to know the reason? You think they'd like to know the reason?
I think we may as well tell them whether they like it or not.
All right. If you don't like it, I apologize.
I don't.
So this song is called Day Ones because it's about Jordan, the main character, and his day ones. We're talking about his friends, the people that are the sunshine in his life, and also his brother as well, which is a bit of a kind of North Star for him, a person that he can follow and aspire to be like. I hope you guys are looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to it.
Most definitely. So when it came to the production of this song, do you remember kind of where you were at the time, where your head was at, how you were feeling? Because it's a very sunshiny song, which is the reason why we have all this orange on, just kind of reminiscent of the way this song makes us feel.
Yeah, that's a good question. So it was definitely a good amount of time ago. I want to say it was directly after Vermilion, and I want to say it was also around New Year's time. Maybe it was New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, the second of the year. I forget. Right around there. So it was in the time of like a lot of parties, a lot of getting together with friends. I think
sense.
even that New Year's, I spent it in LA, and yeah, it was just all the homies just being degenerates, all being together. So I was just feeling like good friendship vibes, you know. And that's awesome that this song actually came from that. Like, yeah, I didn't really think it was gonna be like that, but yeah, you kind of picked up what I was putting down.
I feel like
Unintentionally.
all of that energy you're talking about translated really well to the track because sometimes it's not intentional. I feel like with art, most times it's not intentional. And if you were having a really good time, like it sounds like you were, this beat just sounds very optimistic, what I thought about when I first listened to it was like smoking after school in high school with all the homies, whether we like smoked and then got like some snacks and came back and recorded music, or if it was just hanging out at home watching MTV. Like we just had so many times to where, it just reminds you of summer or golden hour when you're going for a walk with your homies at the park. That's kind of what I wanted for Jordan to be experiencing in this song, because before we move on and he goes through his, trials and tribulations, I wanted to show that he does have positive influences in his life. And oftentimes we overlook those positive influences in favor of trying to feel something inside of ourselves, which the main character is doing. In this album, that's kind of where he starts out. So wanted to show, what, he has these people in his life that he can look to, and that's a beautiful thing.
And now, for this song here, you're talking about kind of Jordan's surroundings. Is this song, would you say it's advancing the story, or is it more painting a picture of the setting, or like how would you say this song kind of fits into the story?
I would say a little bit of both. Like I said, it's really about having that positive energy that, the listeners can feel, and, hopefully that they can kind of draw back, like recall some memories to where they might feel the same way that Jordan feels in the middle of this song. But simultaneously, we're also introducing Brian, which is Jordan's older brother. He's 3 years older, who, like I said, he's kind of like a North Star for Jordan in that he's very responsible and he gets shit done. And as a lot of older, siblings may feel sometimes, they look and see what their younger sibling is doing and they're like, hey, you know what? I've made these mistakes along the way. I don't want you to make the same mistakes. And then they've kind of got to do this balancing act between, giving that game and then also stepping back and letting a person be who they are. But that's why the second verse of this song is dedicated pretty much only to Brian, because I wanted to really introduce this character. He's a really important character to the album. The friends are as well, but Brian in particular, you'll see as the album goes along why it's such a... I struggle to call him a plot device because he's more than that. Obviously, he's his older brother, but he's a character that really moves the story forward. So he needed to be introduced, and I decided to do it early on.
Nice. That's awesome. Okay, so we get a little setting, we get a little story, and some key characters in the story. So that's all good stuff right there.
Right.
Yeah. So now that we got that, we're really in the driver's seat for the rest of the album. We got a few tracks left. So why don't we think about when we were recording, like any moments that come to mind, any stories you want to share?
This song was kind of hell trying to get it finished because it was the perfect example of this whole entire album. We had these hurdles trying to get over, whether it was like the way we wanted the mix to sound, how clean the recordings were. It was a lot of trial and error, trial by fire, really, to get to the place where it's at today that we're really proud of. And I think Day One's is probably the best example of that because time and time again, I'll listen back to it and I was like, I love what I wrote. I love, what Personify produced, but I'm just not loving the way that it's sounding. And so I feel like there was a lot of adjustments on my part when it came to the timing and placement and finding the pockets. And then probably the same for you. How did you feel about making this song?
Oh, the absolute same, just in my own little world, for sure. Because, yeah, while you were adjusting the timing going crazy, I was adjusting the mix going crazy. And, yeah, I just could not get this one to sound right. Because our room wasn't quite dialed in yet. So, yeah, the vocal, like, it was coming in a little muddy through the mic. And it was hard to sort through the mud on this one, for sure. I would, like, just go back and forth. I tried all different kinds of vocal chains. And probably just ended up mixing it at least a dozen times.
Right.
But eventually kind of started to chipping away at the right things and then got it to a pretty smooth place. Not a place that I probably heard it at in my mind when I first heard it.
Right.
But where it went, like the vocal sounds really warm. And I decided that I actually liked it warm. Like I learned to love it a little bit.
Right.
For what it is. Yeah.
I feel like there was so much about the song that in my mind, like, it is pretty close to what I was imagining with the final product, but we had to really figure out like the intermediary step of how we were going to get there. And in that process, I feel like we were really throwing stuff at the wall and just seeing what was going to stick. And I was just really happy with the way that like the harmonies came out, the way that they layered over each other. It really created this warmth that I feel like complements the beat in such a way that I think... Well, I know I really like the final product.
Hey. Yeah, that's one thing I was really impressed with too, is like the beat's really simple, but your vocal stacks in it sound like angelic. Like especially during the chorus and stuff, it's just like really thick, all these voices and like harmonies coming together, and it sounds sick. It sounds like magical.
It really sounds like a track 2 to me also, like when I picked out all of these individual beats, I tried to kind of keep in mind what I think a track 2 will sound like, a track 3 or whatnot. And I feel like when you start a story before you go into all these dips and valleys and, a character goes through hard stuff, you kind of want to start it out like, everything's good. Maybe it's like a horror movie, everything's good before everything gets bad and then gets better, whatever that we go through in this kind of roller coaster of storytelling. And this one to me kind of like symbolized that. It symbolized like, all is good in the world when I'm with my homies and, with his brother too. But I'm also using the second verse to, move the narrative forward. So I also had to kind of go into describing the relationship between the two of them, where they have their issues as well. They have disagreements on things, but I think when you listen to the song, you'll tell that like Jordan really, really loves his older brother. He's just like, hey, just give me some space to figure this out.
Hell yeah, dude. And speaking of track 2, by the way, I think that was the original beat name. So I love that you decided to use it for the track 2 as well. That was like an awesome surprise. I was like, oh, you actually used it track 2. Hell yeah.
It's so weird how things like that work out because I don't really remember that all that much. But then it's like to hear something like that, I don't know. It feels like it was meant to be.
Yeah, dude. I guess it was.
That's fire.
Goddamn.
Well, shit, man. Anything else that that the people need to know?
What else do the people need to know about this one? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we kind of touched on all the bases on this one, honestly.
Yeah.
Talked about the recording, the beat, the story. All right, what's your proudest, like, bar from this song, if you had to pick one?
Proudest bar from this song? Interesting. It's got to be in the second verse, and I think it's probably in the beginning of the second verse. So what do I say? So the boys came over with a swish in hand, poured an orange soda, not the Minute brand. The part where I start talking about Brian is my favorite.
Hell yeah.
I don't want to go through the whole entire verse because you guys can listen to it if you're interested in it or not. But
Do it.
as soon as Jordan starts talking about Brian and then talking about their past and then going into the current, the way that they feel about each other, I feel like that's my favorite part. I get a little bit of kind of like a flow going there too, because a lot of this song is just like saying something, stepping back, and then letting the vocals come in and do the work. But in the second verse, once Jordan starts talking about Brian, it gets a little more hip-hoppy, and I feel like that's where the bars actually are. So it's funny you ask me like what my favorite bar is. So yeah, I mean, let's see here.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some of my favorites too. There's definitely a lot of good ones, so I'm trying to pick like the very best one in my head. I'm running through it.
My brother Brian said that I should make some different friends.
You don't really like the way that lately I've been living, man.
Tell him that I got it from you. He say I'm tripping, man. All right. And then after that, then he goes into kind of just talking about the past. And I don't know. I like things like that, especially when this song has this kind of just like positive vibe to it.
Better out than in, baby.
Yeah. I like the way that I don't fucking know.
A bar that I like, or probably I think my favorite one, the one that always sticks with me from this song, is when you say, "My friends ain't your friends, and your friends they make more ends, and just because we kick it don't mean I'm the dope man." Which I think is pretty dope, man. Because like it's like yeah, like I'm, because and it really describes Jordan too, because it's like. Well, and maybe us as kids too. It's like, yeah, we can still be good kids and have like maybe friends who, they're not like so straight edge, whatnot. They're experimenting with different things, but that doesn't make me a bad person. And just because they're experimenting with things doesn't mean they're bad. It just means maybe like, I mean, like we could talk about weed, for example. Like maybe weed shouldn't be such a bad thing when you're kids. So yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of funny because I can relate to it from my childhood. Because yeah, I just remember I had some friends that were in shady business, and then parents and whatnot, they're like, no, don't hang out with them, stuff like that.
Well, yeah, well, the interesting thing with Jordan, too, is he's most certainly in shady business, but he's in denial about it because it's like an ends to a mean, and the ends is just getting Taylor to kind of like mess with him, because he's doing all of these things for her. So it's like, yeah, he is selling drugs, which is not a good thing. And so, like, this is the delusion because his brother has every right to be like, the way that my younger brother is moving, I don't know exactly what it is that he's doing, but I know that it's wrong. So it's my duty to step in and make sure I intervene before something goes wrong. But as a younger sibling, sometimes you might be, like neck deep in something you shouldn't be doing that could ruin your life. And you're just like, hey, you got to just like stop tripping, man. Like your friends are cool and they make money and like you don't even need to worry about all that. And besides all that too, if you want to talk about my friends, like they're not even into those things that you're kind of like complaining about. So yeah,
such is life.
God
dang.
Well, hey, yeah, that's gonna be day ones, you guys. We're really looking forward to you guys checking it out and moving forward with the narrative into the next single, which will be next Wednesday.
Stay tuned, y'all.
Appreciate y'all.